Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm covering a movie that's got a rather interesting history with me, you see. When I started reaction and review, this movie was like one of the very first I wanted to cover. In fact, I downloaded it quite a while ago. And for a short time, I had it on the Amazon wish list, maybe thinking somebody might buy it and then I'd have a physical copy because the movie had actually interested me that much. But that never happened, and I just opted to just take it off the wish list. I said, screw it, I'm just going to cover the copy that I downloaded. And, like I said, I've been trying to get this one done for a long time, and other shit just kept on coming up. Just other, movies to do and theme months and everything else. And what really sort of, hit me that I should do this one now is, a little while back, I did a movie, or rather I reviewed a movie called Death of a President, which was a mockumentary. A lot of people said, well, there is one other one you really have to cover. And so, I'm going to finally do it because you guys have been asking a lot about this one lately. Tonight's film is a small indie flick from 2004, and its title is actually pretty cool. The title is C.S.A. The Confederate States of America. Essentially, guys, this is a mockumentary that asks, what if the South won the Civil War? And it apparently plays a lot of it up for laughs, and I'm really curious if they can make slavery funny. I mean, well, I have seen a few instances where slavery has been made funny, but normally, though, it actually is kind of sort of like awkward funny, and I'm going to see if this thing's going to go for like genuine funny, so who knows, it actually might. I also have been warned this film has a really bad habit of essentially whiplashing the mood in a huge way, where you are laughing one moment, then you feel really depressed the next. I will be able to tell you if anything like that happens here. So, I really just want to cover this thing right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out C.S.A. The Confederate States of America. Okay, that actually was kind of sort of creative about how Lincoln had to flee to Canada in blackface. That actually was kind of weird, but hell, that actually is really fucking creative, man. You know, guys, there really is something messed up but really funny about a Shakespearean actor in blackface playing a slave talking to Jefferson Davis. It really is kind of funny. Wow. Even when this film is talking about like slavery still being here, they still are able to work in a goddamned reparations joke. That is witty as hell, dude. My God. You know, guys, the one thing that actually is saving this movie right now are all of these commercials. These things are really fucking funny. Funny in a really warped and stupid sort of way, but hell, that actually is the kind of funny which I fucking love. Nigger hair cigarettes? I'm probably going to have to look up that and see actually if that was an actual product. That was really fucked up, though. Holy shit. Government-inspired propaganda is the Lawrence Welk Show. Well, I guess actually there has to be somebody out there who actually fucking thought that Lawrence freaking Welk was good, so why not make it just government propaganda? Sure. Well, that was C.S.A., the Confederate States of America. Wow. Oh, and Spike Lee had a hand in this. Well, okay. I just saw that on here. It actually said that this was a Spike Lee presentation or a Spike Lee production. I just barely looked at it. Then I should mention, since Spike Lee had a little something to do with this one, there is a better film out there, which has a lot to do with race and racial imagery and everything else. That was directed by Spike Lee. It's a movie I could highly recommend. The movie is called Bamboozled. Go ahead, guys. Go out there and find this one. You could also probably look for this one too, because this movie was really good. But I am going to cover the positives and the negatives on that right now. Why not? Well, first of all, before I go any further, earlier I know I made mention of one of the ads in this movie for something called nigger hair tobacco, and apparently, yes, that actually was a real product sold in the U.S. In fact, almost all of the ads in this movie, which were for products, were for actual products, some still sold today. The thing that makes me almost sick is that nigger hair tobacco was made in Wisconsin, the state I'm living in right now. That makes me almost ill. But hey, it happens, I guess. I mean, that actually is the thing with time. It, kind of. Like time makes almost everything in the past look foolish. And yet, still, Darky toothpaste apparently is still sold over in Asia. I'm not going to get into the details on that. Let's just dive into the rest of the movie here. First of all, I mentioned earlier, at least I believe I mentioned earlier, that a lot of people had warned me about how the mood in this film loves to whiplash, and it kind of does. However, the whiplash is not nearly as jarring as people say. Because really, because it actually is more that the documentary is played almost sickeningly straight, and it's the ads that make you laugh. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, what in the hell am I talking about when it comes to ads? Well, this movie is presented as a television broadcast from a San Francisco television station, which, of course, calls itself Confederate Television, and C.S.A. is a controversial British documentary airing in the C.S.A. for the very first time. And it is the entire broadcast complete with commercials. And the commercials are for things such as I mentioned, nigger hair tobacco and Darky toothpaste and all these other goofy-ass products. Almost all of them are or were real, products, businesses, what have you. And almost all of them were U.S. products. Just let that sink in for those of you who think that the U.S. is not this. I mean, because I swear to God, there are people out there who think that the U.S. has never really been racist outside of the Deep South. No. Because a restaurant chain mentioned in here, which was the Coon Chicken Inn, they actually tell you at the very end, the place was in Salt Lake City. And it was a whole, racially themed restaurant. And it is really fascinating, the fact that almost all of that is real, and a lot of the things which are talked about in the documentary itself were actual plans which the South wanted to do if they won the Civil War. It does seem almost frightening. Now, as I stated, the ads are where you are going to get a whole lot of the laughter, and the documentary itself is played almost painfully straight until you get to around the 1950s, 1960s. And then that is when things begin to get kind of funny again because, 1950s, 1960s, we basically have stuff like, Elvis was now a huge star up in Canada because black music was not allowed in the C.S.A. It's all that kind of stuff. And really, it was very, very clever. It was really witty. To be totally honest with you, writing from start to finish is almost totally solid. The one big issue I have, though, is, and this is probably just because I'm a little bit ignorant on the subject, I could have sworn that the Civil War was about a lot more than just not fucking racism, slavery. And yet, this film's one big joke is slavery. It's like everything ties into slavery. The only reason why the C.S.A. did not side with Germany in World War II is because Hitler wouldn't turn the Jews into a slave labor force. That is the only reason why we didn't join them or even go into the European theater according to this movie. And it's just stuff like that. So the movie is about like 90 minutes, and it's almost all just slavery jokes, and in many cases it is the same 2 or 3 jokes repeated again and again and again, and they stop being funny about I'd say about 45 minutes in. So we are talking about halfway in, and the humor that is there, it just stops being funny. And I think that was the point, is that a lot of it is supposed to make you grin, and then you just see it again and again and again, and then at the very end when they tell you that a whole lot of this shit is based on facts, it actually makes you feel almost sick because you were, grinning and giggling at it earlier. Acting. Well, the acting is kind of sort of a mixed bag, and once more, I believe that is 100% intentional, because we have people who are posing as experts and presidential candidates and senators and all this other shit, and all of them are doing a really good job. And whenever they do like clips from movies or clips from, let's say, like musical theater, all of that, the acting is always really shitty. It's just funny because a lot of these movies are supposed to look like Oscar caliber films, and yet the acting is complete ass in those. Again, I really have a feeling that that was completely intentional. However, once more, that just means that they were going out to intentionally have shitty acting. Thus, it is still shitty acting, and it has to be mentioned. Music is barely in here, minus maybe like a couple of songs. Those songs are, in many cases, a little bit catchy. We actually have like a southern version of what is essentially the Cops theme, except Cops is now a show about apprehending runaway slaves. Again, it all ties back into slavery for this entire film, and it just continues to beat on that horse, and it really isn't able to keep it really going, and you're probably going to be almost tempted to shut it off about halfway through. I would happily say don't, because if you seriously are going to watch this, you have to sit through all of it. And if you stop like halfway, you are in no way giving it a proper chance. You really have to watch all of it in order to get the full impact. Now, I have stated the film is a little bit poorly done in terms of the content, just basically about, slavery, bucks, mammies, uncles, all this other happy horse shit, and all that's just repeated ad fucking nauseum. Similar actually to how I continue to beat that fact here. Yet I would still recommend this. If you actually see this thing somewhere, go ahead and check it out. If you actually are over somewhere if you're over at a place which still happens to rent like DVDs, go ahead, rent it. Or if you see it on Netflix, check it out. If you see this thing running on TV, which it would probably have to be like HBO, Cinemax, or Starz or something, watch it. You will probably enjoy it a little bit. Really, the only problem I have with it is just the content. The content made me feel a little bit, uneasy, and that was the point of the film. Slavery is not supposed to be something you are supposed to feel comfortable with. So it kind of hammers home that rather obvious moral, and it might actually be a little bit of a turnoff for quite a few people. So I actually have been warning you about this, because if you guys are going to go into it expecting it to be complete and total laughs, no. A lot of it is played really straight, a lot of it is played really serious, and it is a rather compelling film when it isn't bogging itself down completely in slavery. Really, seriously, guys, I really would highly recommend checking it out, but I will say that it is not for everybody. That really is the best way I can put it. and I just almost feel like I'm babbling now, so I think I'd best stop. With that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.